Hey everybody, Steve from the Pinball Room. Welcome. This is my little work area. This is where the magic happens. Today we're going to talk about playfield design, pinball playfield design. For me, it's a fun one. It's kind of where it all starts, right? Where you get all your ideas brainstorming around inside your head of what could be, right? The sky is the limit. Anything's possible at this stage, right? There's no reality getting in the way of things. Okay, so how do you go about playfield design? There's a few different ways. Let's talk kind of from ideation in through sketching and prototyping and some of the common constraints and things you need to understand to be able to have a playfield that is actually fun, is going to work, and that will handle everything you want it to do, right? There's some consideration we'll need to keep in mind. So I'd be remiss to not mention Visual Pinball Designer. It's a free tool that's out there that allows you to go through and design a pinball playfield in a virtual 3D environment. It's got a great library of assets of flippers and drop targets and stand-up targets and slingshots and pop bumpers, and you can lay it out, you can design your ramps, you can create it all in 3D, and it's got a physics engine that allows you to go through and do a simulation, which basically means you get to play the game just like a video game, your own game that you've designed, and see how those shots work. I highly recommend it. We're not going to talk about that in this video. I've actually never used it. I haven't taken the time to go through and learn that yet. I do it more old school. How have I been doing it? I've been doing it with sketchbooks, paper and pencil. And yeah, the further I've gone through my design, the more I've found out that might have been a mistake, because I find myself constantly wanting a faster, more virtual way to prototype and do things like in 3D. So, yeah, so you might want to take some time digging into that, but you don't have to. So the way I do it, again, I've got my sketchbook. I've got ideas in here as I have them. This is some ideas for a Big Bang Theory pinball machine. I was a huge fan of season 1 of Westworld. Season 1, amazing season, amazing show. Yeah, so I had some great ideas for a Western-themed pinball machine and different shots I thought would be fun with that. Until we get through to Led Zeppelin, which is the one that we're actually working on, right? We've talked about before. Again, and I start out with different ideas, different concepts of kind of the core strategy or type of interactions I wanted for the game, different modes, the fact that I wanted an upper playfield, yeah, the different shots we could do in here, the idea of a stairway. Anyway, so I start with this. You'll see I've even got in here, then I've got actual like playfield designs where I'm like laying out different shots and how they could go. I've got in here a prototype for the actual stairway that I want to build inside this pinball machine and how that could look and work. There's a lot you can do just on pen and paper, right, to kind of go through and explore ideas. I think it's great. Now eventually you've got to get to the next level of fidelity, right? For me, that was this banner paper from Walmart, all right? Costs like 10 bucks. It's 24 inches wide, which is more than wide enough for any playfield we're ever going to design, and 75 feet long. So, I mean, I'm barely touching it so far. I've laid out 3 or 4 pinball playfields. And that turns into this. So here is kind of the initial sketch I had for my Led Zeppelin pinball machine. Okay? And yeah, so it was done with paper. It was done with dinner plates, with bowls, with cups, with saucers. Eventually I pulled out from my drawer my compass to help with that. I'm very big on the curves and the flow of the ball, and we'll get into that. So that's really, I guess, kind of the next area I want to get into is as you're going through and designing your playfield, there's a few things you want to try to keep in mind, okay? Now looking at this, let's go through and talk about a fan layout, which is a common layout and one of the ways I think is best for people to start, because it's kind of this tried and true one that's going to make sure the geometry stays pretty consistent and working for you. So what a fan layout means is this. Envision on top of this a fan or a series of radial shots, right? Meaning you're going to have a series like orbits, almost kind of like little rainbow arcs, right? Where an outside shot can loop all the way around, then you have another one on the inside, then perhaps another one, and then a center shot. And then it's mirrored on the other side, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. This is kind of your standard fan layout. Now it doesn't mean you're going to see pinball machines that all these shots, you really just have 3 shots, right? And with a 4th one in the middle, like all loop back around. No. The outside shot is often you'll have an orbit shot that does go all the way around a playfield. But these inside shots then typically will go into something else. It could go into a scoop. It could go up to a ramp and then go out somewhere else. It could go to a spinner, right? And then loop back around somewhere else. Like you can have some variety where those go. The important thing really has to do with the entrance of each of those shots. The reason why a fan layout works so well is because of how those shots lay out and line up with the flipper down below. From your right flipper, you have a clear shot into each of these 3 shots on the left up top. Both flippers can usually hit the center shots, and then the left flipper can go through and hit all these shots from the right. And so the ball usually has a pretty direct entrance into them, which is important if you want to make sure the ball is able to continue uninterrupted and keep its momentum and not have, you know, a lot of bricks and a lot of ricochets that are unintended, right? If you start having shots that, start to stray from this fan layout, that can be great. In fact, it's fun. I like having a general fan layout, but then making some interpretations off of that. You'll notice here on mine, I've got this other shot here coming. It's going to be a ramp that's going to come up kind of on top. It's adding another shot in. But this angle, how is that going to be hit from a flipper down here below? It's not going to be able to be hit, right? Well, if you'll notice over here, I've got a very crudely drawn upper flipper that will be able to make that shot. So there's ways to get around that, right? The more you start to vary from that fan layout, it's fine. But you need to keep in mind, okay, where does that ball need to come from to hit that? And if it can't be hit from the flippers down below, maybe you'll need to add a flipper up top, or maybe you need to just readjust the shot to make sure it can be hit cleanly from the flippers down below. Okay, so that's a fan layout. And fan layouts are known for their flow, meaning, again, these shots are very clean. The ball will come in, maintain its velocity, and stay very fast. There's a good sense of continual flow to the pinball machine, which a lot of people really like. I love that. My very first pinball machine I ever got was called High Speed 2 The Getaway by Steve Ritchie, who's known as like the king of flow. And it was so fast. You're the guy in the car speeding down the highway being chased by cops because they got a speed trap. They're trying to catch you and you got to get away. And there's like this supercharger and a ramp that spins the ball around. And it's very chaotic, frenetic, and I love it. It's so much fun. At the same time, if you see my other videos, I've got a Simpsons pinball party, I've got a Twilight Zone. They're way more what's known as a stop-and-go pinball machine, meaning they don't have a lot of flow where the balls just kind of keep going. They have a lot of things that interrupt the ball and stop it or divert it and make it to where it's not always keeping up its speed. Now, I still think they're a lot of fun. I own them. I love them. I've had them for years. So they can still be very enjoyable. And sometimes you'll find machines that are a mixture. They'll have some stop and go, plus they'll have a few shots that kind of flow. And again, the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want, right? Whatever works for you, whatever you feel is fun. But I think it's good to keep those things in mind. Okay, now if you look at the fan layout, I've got, 3 shots on one side of center and 3 more. That's only 7 shots, Steve. Is that really enough? I want to have more shots. How can I get around that? Well, there's different size playfields you can build also, right? There's a standard size that most pinball companies are using nowadays, which is 20 1/4 inches wide by about 45 inches deep. And that's a whole piece of wood. You actually lose some inches here in the front, right, with the apron. So you've got around 40-ish inches deep to play with and about 20 inches wide. So you might say, okay, well, can I go wider? And that way I can work in, maybe another shot or two. You can. They have wide body pinball machines, right? Most of you watching this probably know that. And they are about another 3.5 to maybe even 4 inches wider than that, right? I think the typical wide body design is about 23 3/4. It depends on the manufacturer and the era. So yeah, don't get all nitty gritty with me, right? Nitpicky. But even just adding a few more inches can make a big difference on the way the game plays. Obviously, if you can even fit a wide body into your cabinet, that's the primary consideration, right? What cabinet are you putting it into? If you have a donor cab like I do, you have to make sure it fits inside the cab you're using. If you are building your own cabinet, you have a little freedom there, right? For length and for width. I would advise you to keep pretty close to standard as much as you can. There's a reason why this is kind of the size machine. One, to fit through doorways, overall weight, and again, just how long the ball takes to get back to the flippers. Lots of things go into it. Again, you do whatever works for you. But if you're your very first one, it's always safe to kind of start with somebody else has already done and then start to build and expand off of that, right? Okay, so wide bodies, we talked about standard, great. The other thing I think is important to think about with a pinball machine is I like the idea of thinking about a pinball machine in thirds. You've got a lower third, you've got a middle third, and an upper third. And this is not necessarily my original idea, right? But I think it's an important one. The lower third, let's talk through each one. The lower third is where, of course, you guess it, you've got your flippers, right? That's kind of important to be able to keep the ball moving. Otherwise, you just have an old like Plinko machine, right? An old Bagatelle. So you need to have flippers, and you need to have lanes where the ball can go out, where the person can lose, and the ball can be collected into the, down into the trough. You need to have flippers that can knock the ball back up, and it's really good to have some ball guides, some lane returns that will bring the ball down and return them to the flipper. And that element right there kind of takes us to what's known as an Italian bottom, which you'll hear some people talk about. And I'll give you a mini history lesson. I'm not the expert on this, but from my understanding, an Italian bottom, what it came out of is back in the 70s or 80s, the story I've heard anyway, revolves around a pinball machine called Paragon, a very popular older pinball machine. And apparently the story is that, you know, they're shipping pinball machines overseas to Europe, the European market, especially like in the Italy area. There's a lot of clients there. And one of the distributors was like, hey, when you make the European version of Paragon, not only do you, like, you know, change the voltage and all that, but can you make sure the bottom, I see you've got kind of a non-standard bottom, you've got like extra flippers and things going on. Can you actually make sure the European version has, you know, ball guides that come down on each side, these lanes, these in lanes that will return the ball to the flipper? Because we've been getting a lot of feedback that the people in Europe, they really like the pinball machines that have that. Not all of them have, but those that have, they like it because it allows them to kind of consistently get the ball to come down, and they can trap it up with their flipper. It allows them to make their next shot with a lot more skill. It also allows them just to kind of hold on to the ball, and they can have a drink, have a smoke, talk with their buddies, make it more social. Like, yeah, they really like this. Like, can you please do that? And from what I heard, they did do that with Paragon. And that kind of where I think the term Italian bottom came from, because, oh, there's these people from Europe and Italy asking for this. Well, all modern pinball machines from like the 90s on, that's pretty much, you have the standard layout, which basically adheres to that. And there's variations, and there's ones that don't conform 100% right. But I would just impress upon you, keep it to where you have something standard coming down to the flippers where people can hold the ball. Slingshots in a very standard placement also. The slingshots right add a level of like randomness to it. The ball will come down and it will bounce back and forth between them and kick back up. And that randomness is actually really fun, and people enjoy that. And again, there's ways to vary from that, right? Rick and Morty, instead of a slingshot on the left side, they've got a pop bumper and a slingshot, right? But they still have the ability to bring the ball down to the flippers. There's things you can do to change around with that, ways the ball lanes might come in and out. Like there's lots of fun things you can do there. But again, just tread carefully, experiment, make sure it works before you get too far committed into it. That's about all that happens in the lower third, honestly, right? The middle third stays fairly open also, and there's a good reason for that. You want to make sure you're not blocking the back third. It's pretty simple, right? But it doesn't mean nothing can go on in the middle third, but you want to be very intentional and be very careful with it, because you do not want things blocking the ball here in the middle, because you'll be blocking your back shots and you'll have a lot of congestion. If you don't believe me about blocking the back shots, think of it this way. It's like soccer, right? If you're the defender and someone's coming to take a shot on the goal, are you going to stand back by the goal and give him all these shots around you? Or are you going to come up in his face and try to block off those angles, right? Well, in pinball, you don't want to block off the angle. So if you have something back here in the middle, well, it makes it a lot harder to get around it, to get to your shots in the back, right? So if you do have something there, either make sure it's temporary, like a pop-up that comes up for mode and goes back down, or make sure that just make sure it makes sense. Typically, it stays open. Again, if you have things there in the middle, not only makes the shots harder to hit, but it leads to congestion, meaning if you're in a multi-ball, you've got 5 or 6 balls bouncing around, they're going to hit each other, and if they're hitting all your other things here in the middle, it's just going to be a traffic jam. It's going to be hard for the balls to get out, and it's not going to be as fun. Okay, so typically you'll have shots along the sides of the middle play field, drop targets, stand-up targets, maybe a scoop, and you might have a ramp kind of come down in, but just again, be very intentional, experiment, make sure it's going to work for you. Now the upper third, where the majority of the toys and the interactions and the shots live in most pinball machines, all right? You've had the chance for the ball to go all the way up, and so now you can hit your orbits, you can hit ramps, you can do whatever you want. The other good thing about that upper third is where you have the most height, right? You have the most clearance between the playfield and the glass, because it's kind of slanted down. The closer you get to the front, there's less clearance. You only got about 3, maybe 3.5 inches clearance above your flippers here, where in the back you have a good 6 to maybe even 7 inches of clearance. So you can work in some taller mechs, some more height for your ramps, an upper playfield, things like that. All right, let's continue on from that. So the other main things I guess I want to make sure you just keep in mind is a pinball is about 1 inch, right? Or 27 millimeters. So the shots you're planning need to be able to fit a ball through it. Now, if it's just a target, a drop target or a stand-up, it can be that size. Even there's some mini targets that are even smaller, right? You have to really be precise to hit. That's fine, because the ball is just going to come right back. But if you have, a lane you want the ball to roll through, an orbit you want it to go around, a ramp you want it to go up, you need to make sure there's room for the ball to go through. Standard size for most shots is around 40 to 50 millimeters. Say 45 is kind of the average, right? If you go much narrower than that, say, oh, it's 27 millimeters, I can go like 35, maybe 37, that's 5%, that's enough, right, Steve? Yeah, it'll go through, Houdini, but if you wanted to go through and not be hitting the walls and bouncing, the thing you have to keep in mind is the ball always going to come very clean, exactly straight onto that shot? No, it's going to be bouncing. People are going to hit from their flippers. If it's too tight, that ball is going to come in and ricochet bounce. It's going to lose all of its momentum, a lot of friction. It's going to slow it down. They're going to break the shot. They'll not be able to make it a lot. So, experiment with that also. Most shots, like I said, are 40 to 50 millimeters wide. Ramps are usually even wider. We're talking like 50 to 80 millimeters, 2 to 3 inches wide. And part of that you also need to keep in mind is what is the angle of that shot to the flipper? You know, how is it relatively lined up? If it's straight on from the flipper, it could be more narrow and the ball is going to go straight in, right? If the shot's more on the side or if it's kind of coming in from an angle, well, then that entrance is going to be a lot shallower. And so even though, you know, you might be like, you know, 2 inches wide here, as soon as you start to turn it, it becomes shallower. You have less of an angle to actually get into it, right? So then you might need to open that up a little bit on a ramp. So all that plays a part, which leads you to my last thing, which is why I talked about, you know, when I'm drawing a playfield, I have cups and plates and bowls and my compass out. Because again, I'm all about flow. So think about the entrance to your shot and the exit of that shot. So again, where's the ball coming from? Is the ball going to come in and typically kind of hit the side of that rail? Because you're like, you know, your shot's here, but your flipper's here. And so it's going to come in like anything that comes in more than about a 30-degree angle is going to typically bounce off and redirect. And if that's what you want, if that's what you're intending, great. But if it's not what you're intending, then you need to try to make that as shallow as possible. And so sometimes that means, you know, going through and adding a curve to allow the time for the ball to come in and hit a rail and then be redirected where you want it to go. And so that's where, you know, curves and that geometry, I think, play a big part in it to make sure that, you know, wherever the ball is coming from, hopefully it can come in smoothly, keep its momentum, and actually reach the destination where you want it to go. Whew. Okay, lots of things are going on. You'll see a lot of that here, talking about my playfield design here, the Led Zeppelin pinball machine. Let's walk through it. So for me, when I thought about Led Zeppelin, I started, you know, brainstorming, coming up with fun ideas. First thing that came to mind for me was Stairway to Heaven. Yes, it's overplayed, and I'm not some Led Zeppelin total, you know, groupie fanatic. I listened to them in college. I love their music. I don't know like all the trivia or anything all about them, but again, Stairway to Heaven just seems very, very, very iconic, and you could say it's overplayed, it's way overdone, it's not a good song for pinball because it's kind of slow, it's got a long intro. I agree, I get all that. But the idea of a mini escalator for pinball that could have magnets, that could hold the ball and advance up a step at a time and take you to an upper play field, that sounds like a lot of fun. I've never seen a motorized staircase like that in a pinball machine. Someone's probably done it, but I haven't seen it yet. And I thought it would be a really fun engineering challenge. We've got a prototype over here that I think is working really well so far. It's not fully finished and tested, but so far so good. Yes, that's kind of my central shot, kind of that center one of the fan layout, right? I've got, you can see hints here of a couple of shots on the outside. Might kind of curve around, go somewhere else. I wanted to work in that staircase. I wanted to work in, this is borrowed from one of my favorite games, 8-Ball Deluxe, where there's 3 drop targets that kind of block your access to this little sinkhole, you'll be able to knock those drop targets down and then lock a ball there. And then after you hit all these drop targets again to unlock it, then the ball will come down. You have a 2-ball multi-ball, maybe some special mode. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I've got a spinner over here you'll be able to hit. I've got a ramp with a connected diverter in the back I'm planning on. I've got another ramp that's going to come across here, a very steep area. The chance for the ball to come up here behind and go into the sinkhole and go through a subway and pop out somewhere else down here. I think a subway would be a lot of fun. Upper playfield, which upper playfields, they could be good and bad. Some people love them. Some people think they break up the game too much. Haven't got mine all figured out yet, but I think it's going to be fun. All right, that's kind of all the main core elements I'm trying to get in mind. The ability to spell out Zeppelin over here and these stand-ups that can light a mode. Now, we're going to look at this, and you're going to see when I show the actual playfield in the next video. When I actually started laying it out and actually prototyping it on my whitewood to the right size board with cardboard and things like that, my shots didn't quite fit exactly the way I had them here. It was not quite as precise as I thought I needed to be. Once I looked and saw how much space I actually needed for the ball, a couple of these things were too tight. I didn't have good clearance in all of this. I mean, if you know anything about pinball, you can probably see this and see some issues with this initial design. But we're able to get out here, start laying it out with actual like cardboard and foam board on the wood, tweak some things, and I'm really pleased with the direction it's going. Okay. Whew. All right, hopefully that gives you an idea, one, on what I'm working on, but two, just the things to keep in mind when you're doing your own playfield design. I would love, love, love to see designs and ideas you all are coming up with. If you've been liking this, if it's helpful, please like and subscribe. Share it with other pinheads so people can find it as well. I'm hoping this can be educational as well as just fun to watch. If there's things you're liking about this video, let me know. There's things I should do differently. If there's an area you want me to spend more time on talking about, please let me know. If you haven't started building your own pinball machine yet, I challenge you to do it. Like, why not? Okay, we're going to go through it step by step, all right? Just follow along with me. We'll go through, we'll figure it all out. Happy to jump in, answer any questions you guys have. I'd love to have some conversation, and together we can learn a lot, okay? All right, until next time, guys, have fun. Come up with some really cool ideas and share them with everybody, all right? We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.